The obstacles to healing, what comes to mind when you hear that question?
There are many, and it depends on what angle you're looking from. So if you're looking through the lens of community or need for belonging and connection, sometimes that can be an obstacle. If you're looking to growing up in really rigid communities, societies, rigid structures where there isn't room to explore, that can hinder or exile parts of who we are, and we end up feeling potentially incomplete. And as a result, we can end up feeling hurt. Then there's the reality of us experiencing traumas within the world. And sometimes we don't have a place to necessarily process and fully integrate those traumas. And so that can be a hindrance to healing. It also depends on how you define healing. Sometimes the word healing implies that there's maybe something wrong with having been injured. Though it doesn't feel good to have experienced a trauma or a physical injury, relational injury, whatever it might be, this is an aspect of life. So if I had to sum it up in a nutshell, I would say the biggest hindrance to healing is not knowing oneself.
Would you say that this idea of knowing oneself has to do with body awareness and knowing how to interpret our feelings and emotions? Or would you go as far as saying things that I would say, knowing that we are divine beings and this is just an experience?
I think it's both. It's interconnected. Right. Yeah. What you're saying there is one and the same.
Yeah, I would love that. I was about to ask you about spirituality, but you answered that question too. So that was a 2-in-1. I absolutely love your expression in this reality. It's truly beautiful.
Thank you. You know, in your question, it got me thinking about this dichotomy we create between spirituality and embodiment work. Rather, I think our journey, it's about experiencing what we've separated as one. The body is divine, and what is divine is expressed within the body. And that takes the judgment out of being human. It gives us permission to get dirty, to bleed, to go in the mud, to dance, to eat freely without this judgment of we accept this and we don't accept this.
What are some of the suggestions, your suggestions and tools, exercise that can help us improve our interoceptive awareness?
So some of the tools that I like to use, firstly, I consider what safety means for the person. Within my therapeutic setting, there's certain givens with that. We have a quiet space with no interruptions. We have a container that is visited at a certain time for a certain time period. I make sure that it is comfortable. Basic biological needs can be addressed. If a person is thirsty, okay, I'll get you water. If you need to use the restroom, use the restroom. So there's considerations for that container of making sure that the person feels safe. As we get into the more nuanced versions of safety for each person and we explore that, then I start to bring that into the mix, right? For some people, it might be, you love the texture of the certain blanket, bring it. You know, for other people, there might be cultural references. So we then incorporate that. For other people, it might be proximity or distance. So we incorporate that. That's step one. Knowing that and exploring that for yourself. Step two, once you've created this container, you now have a place, a sanctuary to go to that can allow for you to listen and feel into what's happening in the moment. And then you can move into practices. This is where a lot of people are doing this simply through participation in yoga or dance or athletics or movements, minus the politics of some of these communities, right? The very act in and of itself of mind-body awareness is interoception.
It might be a practice for life, right, Anjana?
No, I believe this is a part of life, and it's what can improve our quality of life, our relationship to ourselves and everything around us. This is what contributes to our resilience, our ability to make decisions in real time and to be fully present.
And with that in mind, what do you feel is the human experience all about?
I believe the purpose is expression. We choose to express as we will. We can express consciously or we can express on autopilot. Sometimes we suppress parts of ourselves and then it comes out sideways. When I think about expression, ultimately, isn't that what life is? I think about the birth process and the unfolding from conception through all the developmental stages. I watch a seed grow and become this full plant, and then it decays and it returns back to the soil, right? I think about all of this and then the interplay and dance between all these forms that are expressing itself and how that influences the process of expression.